This gray-haired ugly loser is the most powerful king in the world, winning war after war. But suddenly, he is reincarnated into another life where he is now a weak, helpless child. A sword drips with blood against a fiery backdrop under a crimson sky. The man wielding it has slain a woman, her body motionless on the ground. He then declares himself king and effortlessly defeats an opponent, driving his blade through him in triumph. Overhead, warplanes darken the sky, unleashing bombs that engulf a city in fire and screams. Watching the devastation, his cape billows in the chaos. Yet standing before the crown he once wore, he admits he was merely a king of the past. Suddenly, he plunges into his subconscious, sinking as if into a vast ocean. A child's voice pleads, "Please," as a lush green field appears. A feather drifts toward him, and the child whispers, "In your new life, seek the light." Reborn as a child, he is welcomed as Arthur by a father who admires his hair and a mother who cherishes his familiar eyes. Introducing himself as Reynolds, the man's playful nature confuses Arthur, who struggles to grasp his new reality, until they both declare themselves his parents. In that instant, stuck in his old adult mindset, Arthur realizes he's just been born. Ironic as it seems, after a lifetime of battles and triumphs, he's now a helpless infant unaware of it all. His mother pats his back, prompting a cough, exactly as expected. Still confused, Arthur notes that Alice and Reynolds genuinely believe they are his parents and seem to care for him. Yet having a mature mind and a baby's body fills him with constant fear. When placed in the crib, he instinctively grasps his father's finger, who excitedly tells his wife. Annoyed, Arthur knows it was mere reflex, just like the cry he's about to release, which a sudden bowel movement interrupts. His tiny body is beyond his control, a prison where nothing goes as planned. He tries to wake up, but the nightmare persists. Then, as if things weren't strange enough, he witnesses something even more surreal. Carried outside in his mother's arms, he watches his father unleash magic, shattering a rock with a punch. A piece falls on his head, and Alice quickly heals him with a spell. Stunned, Arthur realizes this world holds powers he never imagined. Reynolds, wielding his magic-infused gauntlet, could even hunt the fiercest boars. Seeing his father return from a hunt, the baby concludes that knowledge is power and carefully observes everything around him. In this society, people may carry weapons, hinting at the dangers around them and pushing individuals to grow strong quickly. Arthur has no intention of being an exception. As Alice rocks him to sleep, he reflects on the frustration of recent days, but admits that moments like these aren't so bad. He recalls tense situations from his past life, where enemies were always loyal, making peaceful sleep impossible. Regardless, his new life as a baby continues, and he soon learns to crawl. One day, he reaches a mirror in his parents' room and sees his reflection for the first time. His parents celebrate each milestone, while he simply tries to grow accustomed to his name, not that it truly matters to him. At bedtime, Alice tucks him in with a kiss, but instead of sleeping, he escapes his crib like Rapunzel from her tower. Having finally gained better control over his body, he sneaks across the kitchen as his mother washes dishes, careful not to make a sound. Opening a door, he reaches his goal, a bookshelf. Knowledge is power, and Arthur is eager to learn about this world. From a book, he discovers that the continent of Decathan consists of 3 kingdoms: Darv, a subterranean dwarf nation; Eleanor, a secluded elven forest realm; and Sapin, a human-controlled, densely populated region, much like his homeland in his previous life. This nation follows a monarchy, but unlike others, the throne is inherited rather than seized. Additionally, its technology lags behind his previous world, and another book explained that magic is the reason for its primitive state. Here, a power source called mana exists, and the ability to manipulate it is mostly hereditary, appearing in about 1 out of every 100 people. Mana can be used in 2 main ways: amplification and conjuration. Amplifiers strengthen their bodies, enhancing speed, power, and resilience, while conjurers shape and direct mana externally. Mastery of mana relies on the mana core, which fully awakens between puberty and late adolescence by concentrating dispersed mana into it. Arthur understands that self-awareness is key to harnessing and releasing this energy, with his Kai acting as a focal point. Fortunately, the wisdom of the late king's past life may aid him in this new existence. Determined, he enters a meditative state, reaching a mental void where he gathers a trace of mana between his hands. Just then, Alice, after searching the house for her mischievous son, finds him. She playfully scolds him for worrying their mother, but her smile fades when she notices something unusual. Arthur fears she has sensed his Kai abilities, only to realize she simply discovered that he needs a diaper change. Arthur becomes even more certain that his body is a cage and seeks more power. The next day, Alice writes in her diary that Arthur turned 2, noting how sweet, curious, and well-behaved he is. However, she is troubled that he never smiles outside. Reynolds teaches his son to wield his stick like a sword, praising his talent. He calls Alice to watch, but she is displeased to see her child playing with something so aggressive. After 2 years, Arthur understands the power balance between his parents, or perhaps women dominate this world entirely. Later, his mother takes him to the city, where he always seems thrilled. Meanwhile, Arthur silently gathers knowledge, assessing the nation's technology through its weaponry and discovering new materials unknown to him. He also witnesses magic firsthand, finding it both fascinating and useful. By evening, asleep on his mother's back, he reflects that this couple has met his needs. Though his life is limited, it is not unpleasant. He wonders if this is what having a family feels like, something he never experienced before. This gentle warmth for his mother isn't bad at all. Speaking of affection, Alice mentions how happy she feels when her son gets out of bed to read or when his eyes light up at the city market, traits he likely inherited from Reynolds. Maybe Arthur, like his father, dreams of exploring the world one day. Still, his mother would rather see him live a quiet life. At dawn, Arthur watches his father train, realizing how lucky he is to have such a role model. After smashing another rock to pieces, Reynolds gives his son a thumbs up, asking if he isn't amazing. Alice rests a hand on Arthur's shoulder, downplaying the feat but assuring him that things will only improve. With that, Reynolds punches the air, unleashing a fierce wind, then stomps, sending a gust that leaves Arthur in awe. His father's strength fuels his own desire to grow, but his mother remains the biggest obstacle. After all, he's still just a baby who needs his nap. Even so, Arthur refuses to back down, reaching for the bookshelf to make his intentions clear. Alice insists it's time to sleep, but he uses his cuteness to win her over. His plan works, and as he clutches a book, he feels like a true champion. As Arthur begins meditating, he recalls the vast knowledge he gained over the past 2 years. The most valuable skill is forming a mana core, gathering scattered magical fragments into a single point. This took immense effort, but the results are finally showing. As he collects the last fragment, an explosion erupts, destroying much of the house. Outside, Reynolds shields his wife from debris, but suffers a serious back injury. They rush inside, and Reynolds reaches Arthur first, shocked to see his 3-year-old son levitating above his own mana manifestation, smirking confidently. Arthur knows his studies have paid off. This is just the beginning. However, pieces of the ceiling threaten to fall on him. He refuses to die after such an achievement. Alice dives to grab him while Reynolds, using his last strength, pushes the wood away. Arthur, now safe, gazes at his mother's teary eyes and realizes how much his parents protect him. Reynolds asks if he's okay, and Alice, clutching him tightly, assures that he is, her most precious treasure. Arthur, confused by her tears, recalls a past life where he won a duel and saw the defeated boy comforted by his parents. Emotions foreign to him surface, and for the first time, he cries, hugging his mother tightly. A man is judged for trying to kill the king despite once being a loyal servant. The law demands strict punishment for such betrayal, but the council shows mercy, letting him return home for judgment. Before his wife and son, he admits his crime and begs only he be punished, fearing that if they return to their homeland, all will suffer a terrible fate. He pleads for their safety. A counselor, speaking through a strange pillar, condemns the man's reckless actions against the revered king, who shouldn't be troubled by such matters. The council, however, decides to punish the whole family. King Gray kills the woman and child himself, an act the counselors see as merciful, freeing them from future pain. The man, like the pillars, thanks the king. Later, Arthur receives matching gauntlets from the king and excitedly gives one to his son, who prefers his wooden sword. Alone, the boy thinks that if he had to fight with such a weapon in his small body, he'd die before getting close to his enemy. Despite everything, he grabs a stick and challenges his son to a duel. Arthur doesn't hesitate and swiftly counters with agile strikes. After parrying them, the man enhances his sword with mana, but Arthur unexpectedly does the same, breaking the stick. Impressed, the man quickly tells Alice the boy needs a personal mentor. She rejects the idea, reminding him he promised to train Arthur himself, which was Ray's true intention. Still, the boy's potential is exceptional and demands proper guidance. So Alice offers to teach him magic, but Reynolds objects, saying Arthur's case is unique. He split mana-infused wood at age 4. Realizing the seriousness, Alice still resists. She doesn't want her little boy leaving for some far-off city. Reynolds asks her to consider his future, while she urges him to think about the present. They'll miss watching him grow. Arthur, noticing how emotions cloud their judgment, suggests a third choice. They all go together. His parents stare at him in awe, then quickly start packing. Arthur thinks they always had this energy. They just needed a reason to show it. Hours later, in front of 2 carriages, Arthur Lewin introduces himself at his father's request. Nearby, armed figures gather at the Lewin home. One warrior kneels and claims they've met, though Arthur supposedly wouldn't remember, yet he does. They are the Twin Horns, Reynolds and Alice's former group. Their leader, Adam Crunch, is joined by Angela Rose, who hugs Arthur tightly until Durden Walker intervenes and offers Arthur a hand to slap. Silent atop one carriage sits the mysterious Jasmine Flamesworth, while the pointy-eared Archer introduces herself as Helen Shard. The preparations complete, Reynolds gives the order to depart. As they ride towards Xyrus City, Arthur compares the outdated carriage to the ski ships of his past life, but finds it decent enough. During a rest stop, the group is ambushed by wolves. Jasmine swiftly eliminates several with her daggers. Reynolds lands a punch with his gauntlet. Adam pierces one with his spear. And Helen downs enemies from afar with precise arrows. Arthur realizes the three are enhancers. Meanwhile, Conjurer's Durden shakes the ground with earth magic, and Angela repels a wolf with wind. Watching the fight, Arthur realizes he needs to catch up to their level. Afterward, the group camps overnight. As night falls, they light fires for dinner. Reynolds tells his son to eat freely, but the boy isn't used to wild game. Meanwhile, Alice overeats and gets sick. She notices her husband is hurt and gets up to heal him, but has to wait for Jasmine, Helen, and Durden, and oddly, Jasmine must approve. During healing, Arthur senses his mom is a rare kind of mage, a healing broadcaster, which explains why they hide in the countryside. Once done, her husband thanks her. Then Adam unexpectedly asks Reynolds to borrow Arthur for some exercise. Realizing it's more than just training, Arthur joins. When Adam powers up his spear, Arthur responds with stronger mana and a green leg boost that stuns Adam. Despite being 4, Arthur moves so fast he catches his opponent off guard by appearing behind him. Though the boy is left exposed and loses his footing, giving up his advantage, he and the spearman clash until the latter launches him into the air with a special move. Arthur regrets being too light for combat, but Angela catches him with wind magic. Afterward, Durden and Helen criticize Adam's roughness, yet the spearman praises Arthur's tenacity, jokingly asking if Reynolds gave him some kind of miracle training. He denies it. Suddenly, Jasmine approaches Arthur, eager to learn his technique, showing the determined gaze he knows too well. By the next afternoon, Arthur reflects on the smooth trip so far. During a break the following day, he trains with the adults, refining body and mind. Honored to pass on past life knowledge, he teaches the Dagger Girl and demonstrates his speed using a green aura buff. That night, he reads by candlelight before eating, only to be surprised. At dawn, Jasmine gifts him a rope-tied dagger, knowing it's his birthday. While observing the scene, the women are amazed Jasmine finally befriended someone, which is rare for her. The men then call everyone to resume the trip, and Arthur notices his mother seems unwell, though she hides it. As the convoy moves towards Xyrus, it's ambushed by thieves launching arrows. Angela blocks some with magic, but they're badly outnumbered. The bandit leader orders the women and children spared for their worth, while Arthur reflects that such cruelty exists everywhere. The attackers descend from the hills. Alice clutches her son, vowing to protect him. Durden casts a fireball that hits the ravine, and Reynolds defeats several foes with martial skill. Helen saves an ally by shooting a bandit behind him, and Adam strikes enemies with his spear. Jasmine, swift as ever, dodges through the fight. Arthur knows his team is skilled, but raw talent isn't everything in war. Durden, still raging, slays May to protect Angela, but the enemies keep coming. Arthur realizes their power lies in sheer numbers. Despite fighting well, Reynolds is hurled into a carriage and briefly taken out. Alice and Arthur leave the damaged cart, but their father urges them to stay, saying his wound isn't serious. He warns that if the bandits find out about Alice's power, things could turn dangerous. He tells Arthur to run with his mother, revealing she's pregnant. Realizing why she'd been sick, Arthur accepts his role and boosts his speed. As they flee, the bandit leader sends men after them. At the same time, Reynolds, though hurt, charges the enemy and slows him down. Arthur and Alice are ambushed by 2 thieves, but Jasmine and Adam eliminate them, while Helen gives cover from afar. While escaping, Arthur thinks about the irony. Once a taker of lives, now he's running to protect them. He wonders if this is karma. A bandit mage casts a spell. Arthur shields his mom and takes the hit, falling off a cliff. Before he drops, he uses Jasmine's dagger to drag the attacker with him. Durden and Angela try to catch him with magic, while Alice screams his name. As he falls, Arthur feels strangely complete, realizing the meaning of family and sacrifice, and that he was about to become a big brother. It would have been beautiful. Hours later, he wakes up in the dark woods, dazed when the ground shakes. A huge, terrifying creature appears and greets Arthur by name, as if they've met before. If you're enjoying the journey of this series, please hit that like and subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any updates. All of your support helps me to keep bringing more high-quality recaps.